Good morning, America. This morning, the deadly ice storm, the worst in a decade. The plains, a sheet of ice. Roads, treacherous. The 20-car pileup.
I could just see every single car that was coming to hit me.
This snowplow swerving out of control, plunging over the edge. We've got team coverage of this dangerous storm with the worst yet to come.
Feeling the heat, FBI Director James Comey meets with members of Congress about his handling of the investigation into Hillary Clinton's emails.
All I can tell you is the FBI director has no credibility.
As the president's pick for national security advisor comes under more scrutiny. The new details about Mike Flynn's contact with the Russian government.
Cold case cracked.
Oh, my daughter.
A teenager in tears allegedly snatched from the hospital when she was only 8 hours old. 18 years later, her birth family broken-hearted but never giving up hope.
I have been praying and praying for this day.
How she was finally found.
And to the rescue, a state trooper ambushed two motorists stopping to help.
Sorry, this is a civilian. He's shot on I-10. He's in real bad shape. Please send air support. Helicopter, please.
One driver using his own gun to shoot the suspect. The officer, lucky to be alive this morning.
Live from ABC News in New York, this is Good Morning America.
Hey, good morning on a Saturday when we've got several political firestorms brewing in Washington and a major ice storm hitting the plains.
Yes, I guess the theme this morning is storms. The latest on the Trump transition coming up, but we start with the weather. We want you to look at this map. Over 20 million Americans are in the nation's midsection. They're dealing with another powerful winter storm, which is forecast to bring significant ice across the region.
Check out this Instagram video, a driver in Missouri trying to open his iced over door, and then when he finally gets in the vehicle, it starts sliding backward down the driveway. We should say that some people are having fun with the ice. This slow motion video shows a child jumping on a frozen trampoline in Missouri. Looks like something that would happen in Paula Ferris's backyard.
Probably. Kids always find a way to see the positive in every situation, but we want to take the situation seriously because it's dangerous. States of emergency have been declared in several states where they're dealing with downed power lines and fatal car wrecks, and forecasters say that the worst is yet to come.
Rob is standing by in Colorado, but let's kick things off with ABC's Adrienne Bankert, who's in Wichita, Kansas. Adrienne, good morning to you.
Good morning to you, Dan. Good morning, Paula. Yes, and here in Wichita, in fact, across all of Kansas, they're expected to see more of that ice that you're talking about later this afternoon and into tonight. But things got dicey, rather pretty dangerous when the freezing rain hit last night. Overnight, millions of Americans from the southern plains to the mid-Atlantic impacted by a deadly winter storm, leading to treacherous conditions. The freezing rain and ice causing a 20-plus car chain reaction pileup in Wichita, Kansas.
I could just see every single car that was coming to hit me, and my airbag deployed, and then my head got whacked on the steering wheel like 5 different times.
Watch as this snowplow in Utah loses control as a flatbed trailer attempts to pass on the right, clipping the 70,000-pound vehicle. The plow driver swerving into the opposite lane, slamming into the guardrail, plummeting 300 feet. Thankfully, the driver will be okay.
He's bruised up a little bit. He's real sore. I talked to him this morning.
And on a St. Louis highway, ice sending this black SUV fishtailing before doing a complete 180, barely missing other drivers. Ice forming on cars so thick, it creates a solid barrier on these windows. Concerns about power outages increasing. An inch of ice can add more than 750 pounds of extra weight to a 300-foot power line. That heavy ice upending and snapping trees in Illinois, branches smashing car windows. And you know, they're taking every precaution. Most churches have canceled their services for tomorrow. Most activities have been postponed till after the weekend and after this ice. Crews will be out treating the roadways with a mixture of brine and beet juice. It's been proven to melt the ice a lot faster and keep the salt on the roadways. That'll be crucial to prevent those spinouts. But officials telling everybody just stay off the roads, stay home. Paula?
That's an interesting combination there,
Adrienne.
Adrienne.
Sounds like the base for a fancy cocktail.
Or some sort of shake that you would like. All right, Adrienne, thank you. As we said, this storm is far from over, so we want to get it out to Rob, who happens to be in Steamboat Springs, Colorado for us this morning, where he's tracking it all. Rob, good morning to you.
Good morning, Paul. As you can see, the northern reaches of this storm is reaching northern Colorado in the form of snow, but this is a multi-day event. Unfortunately, this is day 2 of 3. And take a look at the ice storm warnings that we have posted. It's a huge chunk of real estate. Actually, the advisories stretch all the way towards the East Coast there, but obviously the bullseye is Oklahoma City up through St. Louis. Here we go. Here's how we look at the radar this morning. That freezing rain getting all the way to D.C., so slick roads there through the Ohio Valley, but as we put the maps into motion, by tomorrow morning, we're really going to see the brunt of it overnight tonight. Wichita to Kansas City to St. Louis. And we don't warm things up until late in the day tomorrow. So moving the Pittsburgh Kansas City game was a smart move. Could see an inch. That is paralyzing ice across parts of western Kansas and Oklahoma tomorrow. Dan, back up to you.
Rob, thank you. To politics now, and a series of new developments on the Russia front. Late Friday, top senators announced they will be investigating possible contacts between Donald Trump's campaign and Russia. This as new questions surface about why the president-elect's national security advisor has been in frequent contact with Russia's ambassador to the U.S. in recent weeks. ABC's Gloria Riviera is covering it all from Washington. Gloria, good morning to you.
Good morning, Dan. This is a fast-moving investigation. Now, the key concern here is whether or not repeated contact between a high-ranking Trump advisor and Russia indicates the Trump team somehow discussed or even helped shape Russia's response to those sanctions President Obama imposed after U.S. intelligence officials determined Vladimir Putin ordered a hacking operation into the election.
This morning, the Republican-led Senate Intelligence Committee launching an investigation into alleged links between Russia and Donald Trump's presidential campaign. The probe beginning just 6 days before Trump takes office, and as new details emerge about incoming Trump National Security Advisor Michael Flynn's contact with the Russian government. Flynn even seen seated next to Russian President Vladimir Putin during a dinner for the Russian TV station RT back in 2015. The Trump team confirming Flynn texted with the Russian ambassador on Christmas Day. 4 days later, they spoke by phone. The same day, the Obama administration imposed sanctions for hacking and expelled 35 Russian diplomats. Trump spokesman Sean Spicer tells ABC News the Russian ambassador invited Flynn to attend Syrian peace talks, which the Obama administration has been excluded from.
The fact that the designated national security advisor, who has his own relationship with the Russian government, was in touch with the Russian ambassador to the United States, I can understand why that was the subject of a column in the newspaper.
The Russian embassy won't comment on the phone call, but confirms the ambassador will be attending Trump's inauguration, according to the practice and protocol rules. Meantime, on Capitol Hill, FBI Director James Comey taking heat from Democrats, who, after meeting with Comey, say he hasn't done enough to investigate Trump's alleged Russian ties.
All I can tell you is the FBI director has no credibility.
That's it. Comey has been criticized for speaking publicly about the Hillary Clinton email investigation days before the November election, while staying silent about any inquiries into Trump.
In a public forum, we never confirm or deny a pending investigation.
The irony of your making that statement here, I cannot avoid.
Comey now promising to cooperate fully with an investigation into his handling of that case.
The investigation will really try to hone in and determine whether or not Comey broke with Justice Department policy by commenting so publicly on the investigation so close to the election. Meanwhile, the Wall Street Journal editorial board is calling for Comey to resign. If he refuses, it says President-elect Donald Trump should fire him. Paula, Dan.
All right, Gloria, thank you. And with just 6 days to go until the inauguration, there are plenty of other big stories that are cooking in Washington right now.
Including a major move by Congress taking the first steps toward repealing Obamacare. And ABC's Mary Bruce is in our Washington bureau as well. Mary, how close is Congress to making this actually happen?
Well, this morning, Republicans are at least one step closer to fulfilling their pledge to dismantle Obamacare, but they still don't have a plan to replace it. Now, the president-elect has said he wants to do this very quickly, and the House Speaker says Republicans will move to repeal and replace in the first 100 days. But there is still a long road and a big fight ahead. 20 million Americans have coverage under Obamacare, and Republicans say they don't want them to feel like they're having the rug pulled out from under them. But as they move towards that repeal, they still haven't agreed on what comes next.
Yeah, that's a big fight that's on tap right now, Mary. Also this morning, we're learning that one top Democrat, John Lewis, plans to sit out the inauguration. What can you tell us about that?
Yet the civil rights icon, Congressman John Lewis, says he will not attend the inauguration because he says he does not see Donald Trump as the legitimate president. Lewis says he thinks the Russians helped Trump get elected and helped to destroy the candidacy of Hillary Clinton. So for the first time in his career, Lewis says he's going to skip next week's festivities.
And also some interesting on-camera comments from Donald Trump himself. He spoke about the fact that his cabinet nominees have been breaking with him publicly on some major policy issues during their confirmation hearing. So what exactly is he saying about this?
Yet remember, just 6 days till he's sworn in as president, and already we're seeing some real distance between Trump's nominees and their potential future boss. His picks for defense secretary and CIA director, for instance, are taking a much tougher stance on Russia. But now Trump is responding. He says he wants members of his cabinet to be themselves, adding that sometimes they may be right, sometimes he may be right. And that's the big X factor here. Just how much will Trump follow the advice of his own cabinet? Dan and Paula.
Big X factor, a lot of questions in just 6 days until the inauguration. Mary, it's always great to have you on the show. Thank you. And we do want to turn now to a truly remarkable story. A baby allegedly snatched from the hospital 18 years ago has been found alive. The child, she's now a teenager, and the woman who raised her now behind bars. But as you can imagine, there are some complicated emotions, and Eva Pilgrim is covering the story for us this morning. Good morning, Eva.
Good morning, Paula. For one family, it's the day they only dreamed of, but for another, a lot of confusion. The teen suspected recently that something was up, but nothing could prepare her for what she found out.
An extremely emotional moment inside a South Carolina courtroom as this teenage girl is separated from the only mother she's ever known. This morning, a family to be reunited 18 years after a baby was kidnapped from a Florida hospital.
And I have been praying and praying for this day.
It's been 18 years, I can't wait no longer.
That baby, now a teenager, and this morning the woman who abducted her being held without bond in a South Carolina jail, where an anonymous tip led cops to the now 18-year-old girl.
In South Carolina, we found an 18-year-old young woman with the same date of birth, but a different name. So further investigation revealed that fraudulent documents had been used to establish that young woman's identity.
The case grabbing national attention in 1998 even featured on an episode of America's Most Wanted.
I just want to know where my baby is at. I just want my baby back.
Named Camilla Mobley by her birth parents, police launched an all-out search for the infant, last seen in baby diapers wrapped in a pink and blue blanket. Only 8 hours old when police say she was snatched from the hospital. The baby taken from the arms of her mother by a mysterious woman who told the family she was a nurse, all while telling nurses and staff she was part of the family.
I can't believe what I was hearing, what I seen. I feel so strongly that mine is alive out there. Mine is alive and somebody raising like they own.
A grandmother's hunch confirmed. Police say 51-year-old Gloria Williams changed Camilla's name and raised her as her own. During Williams' first court appearance on Friday, the teen identifying herself by the name Williams allegedly gave her.
Oh, my daughter, like.
And openly sobbing, seeing the woman now accused of snatching her from her biological mother, now behind bars.
And Alexis has FaceTimed with her biological parents. They are hoping to see her later today.
Has to be so confusing for her. Eva, thank you.
That whole time they were just separated by a couple of hours.
Just several hours, just straight up 95.
Eva, thank you. You can imagine complicated emotions. ABC News consultant Brad Garrett, a former FBI special agent, joins us from Washington right now. Brad, good morning to you, and thanks for joining us. First and foremost, how rare is a case like this?
It's pretty rare, Paula. 308 infant abductions since 1983. Think about this, all but 12 have been solved. It's been my experience that within a few hours or days, these children are usually found.
Does this show that it is possible to solve a case like this even 18 years after the fact?
Yes, and Dan, here's the real key. I've worked a lot of cold cases that have gone on for years. You have to bring them back in the public's eye. And I think that's what the cops continued to do in Jacksonville, Florida. They get the tip, they go to this small town in South Carolina, and as the chief described, we're able to identify this as the abduction from 18 years ago.
Pretty remarkable, yeah. And as you heard in that piece, this was also part of America's Most Wanted. So they kept this story and this investigation open pretty much the entirety of the time that she was missing. Yeah. Brad, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Yeah, thank you, Brad. And a lot of other news this morning. And for that, as always, we kick it over to Dr. Ron Claiborne. Good morning, sir.
Morning. Hey, good morning to you, Dan and Paula. Diane, good morning to you. Good morning, everyone. We're going to begin with a scathing report about police misconduct in Chicago. The Department of Justice saying the nation's second largest police force has a long-running pattern of civil rights abuses, racial bias, and excessive force aimed primarily at African Americans and Latinos. The Justice Department's year-long probe was prompted by the release of this dash cam video showing a white police officer shooting a black teen 16 times. Chicago's police commissioner now promising changes. And the Justice Department also bringing criminal charges against 3 executives of the Japanese auto parts maker Takata. They're accused of faking test data to hide defects in millions of airbags, setting off the largest automotive recall in U.S. history. Takata is also being fined $1 billion for providing false data. And in South Carolina, federal officials closing their case against a school officer seen on a video slamming a female student to the floor. Prosecutors saying there's not enough evidence to charge the man with civil rights violations. That officer was fired 2 days after that incident back in 2015. And in Washington, a controversial painting depicting police officers as pigs will be taken down from the Capitol for good. The painting, which is part of a high school art event, was found to have violated the art competition's rules. It has spawned a week-long discussion between those who see it as an example of freedom of expression and those who thought it was offensive. And in Utah, security cameras show a car thief as he takes off, knocking a woman, the driver, to ground and driving off with her kids in the back seat. Fortunately, the suspect dropped off the children, a 3-year-old and an infant, in a nearby parking lot where they were found unharmed. The car and the thief, they are gone. And finally, a library in San Francisco has had a overdue book returned, imagine this, 100 years late. The great-grandchildren of Phoebe Webb, who checked out the book of short stories in 1917, found it in a trunk where it had been stored for decades. They say she probably intended to take it back, but she died, and no one noticed it among her belongings. Under a library amnesty program, no fine was assessed. I think the fine would have been something like $2,000 at 5 cents a day.
5 cents a day.
They let it go.
Did you do the math?
I've been doing the math, yeah.
Right now,
exactly
$2,000.
It was about $1,800, maybe $1,900, theoretically. They let it go.
Allegedly. Great story.
Allegedly.
You just reminded me I have a bunch of overdue books.
Do you?
I don't think
they're
the
not
fine
100 years overdue.
Not 100 years, nor is the fine $2,000.
Make sure your kids return them at some point.
I will. Or I can have you do it, Ron.
Okay.
No, thanks very much, Ron. Let's check back in with Rob, who's still in Steamboat Springs, Colorado, not in New York City. Rob, we miss you. Please come back soon, because Ron doesn't know what to do with himself.
Well,
I've been crying.
I'm sure he's doing just fine. Love to have. I'm sure. I'd love to have you guys out here. I'm at the Steamboat Weather Summit, keeping my credentials up to date. Also doing a little bit of field research. You know, they've had 5 feet of snow here in the month of January. A lot of avalanches actually across the state of Colorado. This week I went out with the ski patrol for a little backcountry tour. The Skull and Crossbones there, always a little bit intimidating, but I was in great hands, and it was just spectacular backcountry skiing there in Fish Creek Canyon. That's where the snow should be. This is where the snow should not be. In Portland, Oregon, they've been frozen now for a week. Over 10 inches of snow in the spot, and it's still there, but that's going to be a problem. We're going to get a quick warm-up, a couple of new storms coming into the west, and these are going to be warm ones. Atmospheric river pointed right out western Oregon. And with that snowpack in the valleys and an inch or two of rain on top of that, we're going to see quick melting, and we're going to see some flooding and maybe mudslides across what is white right now, also across northern California, which had their problems. This storm coming out of the southwest tomorrow, bringing us the ice today, will bring maybe some severe weather across parts of West Texas tomorrow, strong winds, hail, and a brief tornado. That is a quick check on the weather headlines nationally. Here now is your local forecast. Check it out.
Wintry weather has returned into the DMV area. Here's a look at our radar and satellite. Notice all of the shading that you see. Freezing rain, some snow mixing in, and also just plain old rain. Temperatures have been hovering above the freezing mark for many of us this morning. A lot of the slick conditions found near Manassas and also back towards Culpeper, right along 66 and on south. We do have that winter weather advisory extending through later this evening. Here's a quick look at your temperatures. A lot of us well above 32.
I got to do something also this week that I've always wanted to do, and it involves a sled and some cute, ambitious dogs. Dog sledding. Yeah, we're going Iditarod style in the next half an hour, guys. Toss it back to you for now. See you in a bit.
So many comments to make there, but I'll hold them until we run the piece. Thank you, Robert.
I don't know what's cuter, Rob or the dogs. Maybe both of them.
You be the judge.
There you go, America. But you know what we're still thinking about, you guys? That emotional moment this week for the Vice President, Joe Biden, when the president awarded him the Medal of Freedom. Now, Biden spoke about it for the first time on The View yesterday. He shared with us just how shocked he was.
Started to walk out, and there were military lined up on one side, and they said, no, the other side. And I thought, well, maybe they want me walking out through the military. And then when that guy came up with the medal, I thought, who the hell is this for? He's been extremely generous.
Yeah, such an emotional moment. He said he was completely caught off guard. He thought that he was going there for a champagne toast, and then he walked in and he saw his friends and his family, and
quite a surprise.
So completely.
Yeah, you could really tell he was caught by Vice President, incredibly moved.
Yeah, and you know what really struck me? I mean, Joe got a standing ovation from the audience. I mean, it probably cut into 4 minutes of the time that we could have spoken with him. People just connect with him, and he's able to connect with voters and people on such a human level that you don't really see in everyday politics. He looks in your eyes, he's able, I don't know, maybe that's just his roots, his blue-collar roots, or what it is, but it's something that we don't see from politicians. And you're not going to see him riding off into the sunset. He joked about 2020. He said, never say never. He said it might be me and John Kerry pushing our little our rollers. But
he's been making some pretty mischievous comments about running for president again.
He has.
We'll see.
I don't think you're going to
to
see him fade out, but he's definitely going to be active in cancer research because he lost his son, Bo,
for sure.
2015.
Great moment there. Thank
Really
you,
was.
Paul. Coming up here on GMA, chaos and heroism on the interstate in Arizona. A state trooper ambushed, shot, and beaten 2 passersby who then came to the rescue.
Officer down outside Tonopah.
Plus, the moment that we've all been waiting for. Rob takes us on an adventure, learning how to maneuver a dog sled. Is that what he does? Does he drive? Does he steer it? He's going to show us what it's like out on the trail. Look at how much fun he's having right there. We're going to be right back.
The dogs seem suspicious, but
I was talking about look at how much fun the dogs are having.
It's pronounced dog, by the way,
Dog?
here in New York. Dog.
Oh, dog. We're right back.
Good Morning America is brought to you by Walt Disney World Resort, where the magic is endless.
There's nothing quite as magical as staying at a Disney Resort hotel. So imagine complimentary rides to and from the park, even extra time with your family in the park. And right now, you can save up to 25% on rooms at select Walt Disney World Resort hotels. So if you're not staying here, just think what you might be missing.
When did mixing food with not food become food? Thankfully, at Panera, 100% of our food is 100% clean. No artificial preservatives, sweeteners, flavors, or colors. Panera, food as it should be.
If you have moderate to severe rheumatoid arthritis and you're talking to your doctor about your medication, this is Humira. This is Humira helping to relieve my pain and protect my joints from further damage. This is Humira helping me go further. Humira works for many adults. It targets and helps to block a specific source of inflammation that contributes to RA symptoms. Humira has been clinically studied for over 18 years.
Humira can lower your ability to fight infections, including tuberculosis. Serious, sometimes fatal infections and cancers, including lymphoma, have happened, as have blood, liver, and nervous system problems, serious allergic reactions, and new or worsening heart failure. Before treatment, get tested for TB. Tell your doctor if you've been to areas where certain fungal infections are common, and if you've had TB. Hepatitis B, are prone to infections, or have flu-like symptoms or sores. Don't start Humira if you have an infection.
Ready for a new chapter? Talk to your rheumatologist. This is Humira at work.
my car? State Farm knows that for every one of those moments, there's one of these.
Is this my car?
This is ridiculous!
This is ridiculous.
From car insurance to car loans, State Farm is here to help life go right.
¡Poquito más rápido, no! Hasta luego, profesor.
Carlos, Zuckerberg needs to see you in room 3.
Let's read it. I'll party right away. I need a time period and I'll be back.
Can I do Pop-Pop?
I survived a heart attack. I'm doing all I can to keep from having another one. And I'm taking Brilinta. For people who've been hospitalized for a heart attack, I take Brilinta with a baby aspirin, no more than 100 milligrams, as it affects how well it works. Brilinta helps keep my platelets from sticking together and forming a clot. Brilinta reduced the chance of another heart attack, or dying from one. It worked better than Plavix.
Don't stop taking Brilinta without talking to your doctor, since stopping it too soon increases your risk of clots in your stent, heart attack, stroke, and even death. Brilinta may cause bruising or bleeding more easily, or serious, sometimes fatal bleeding. Don't take Brilinta if you have bleeding, like stomach ulcers, a history of bleeding in the brain, or severe liver problems. Tell your doctor about bleeding, new or unexpected shortness of breath, any planned surgery, and all medicines you take.
Talk to your doctor about Brilinta. I'm doing all I can. That includes Brilinta. If you can't afford your medication, AstraZeneca may be able to help.
Friday, the inauguration of Donald J. Trump. The day starts with a special Good Morning America. Then live coverage rolls on nonstop and all along the parade route with America's first choice for news, ABC News. Then don't miss a special edition of World News with David Muir.
Get some Nick. The Bachelor, Monday, 8, 7 Central on ABC.
Unwanted scars, stretch marks, dry, damaged skin. Make your imperfections a memory. Palmer Skin Therapy Oil helps reduce the appearance of scars, stretch marks, and dry, damaged skin. And to combat visible signs of aging, use Palmer Skin Therapy Oil for face. This lightweight blend, including 10 natural oils, absorbs quickly to fight dark spots, fine lines, and uneven skin tone. Say goodbye to imperfections with Palmer Skin Therapy Oil and Skin Therapy Oil for face. Palmer's, the nature of you.
Value City Furniture presents How to Buy the Perfect Mattress. First, ask yourself, are you avoiding shopping for a new mattress because you think mattress shopping is anything but a comfortable experience? Wake up and head to Value City Furniture. Our unique 3-step process makes finding the perfect Serta or Beautyrest mattress so easy, you can almost do it in your sleep. Oh, wow. Perfect. And that's how to buy the perfect piece at Value City Furniture.
Well, as we kick off our Saturday, winter weather has returned. Here's a look at our satellite and radar. Notice all the shading that you see. We have some snow mixing in, sleet, and also just plain rain near Hagerstown and Frederick. Dry for now, but this is where we could see some fill-in later this morning. Icy spots can be found near Manassas and back towards Culpeper, especially south of 66, but we also have just liquid rain mixing on in. And here's why. A lot of us still above the freezing mark this morning. 38 degrees in D.C. Notice where we have those temperatures below the freezing mark, Hagerstown and Frederick. That's where things could get a little dicey as we head through the rest of this morning and this afternoon. Winter weather advisory extending through 6 o'clock today. That does include the D.C. Metro, so we will be watching for those slick conditions. But by this afternoon, that should be all changing over to plain old rain as we head into the overnight hours. Take it easy on the roadways this morning.
Say hello to your new morning routine. McDonald's Sausage McMuffin with egg. Made with tasty sausage, melted American cheese, a freshly cracked egg, all on a toasted and buttery English muffin. It's now only $2.
Everyone is coming to the 2017 Washington Auto Show. I've seen the guest list. This year, 3 amazing floors of exotic and luxury models, sports and performance cars, full-size compacts, SUVs, hybrids, electrics, with all